Okay, here we go. Oh, looks like already some technical issue. Look at that. Never fails. Let me fix that real quick. You guys aren't seeing the full ZBrush. So we'll make sure my audio is working fine. And then we'll go from there. Okay, I'm going to have to do it this way. Give me a second. Don't know why that happened for me in OBS. Sorry about that. Never fails. Always something. Okay. There. Now you guys are seeing everything you need to see. Tap, tap, tap. All right. Can you hear me okay? I see my microphone is bouncing. Can you guys hear me okay? I'll put it in chat as well. Making sure my microphone's coming through. If someone can let me know, that'd be a great help to make sure before we start diving in here and going through this. So I got my chat open on my other monitor. Let's see, I see my microphone. You are audible. Thank you, Trim Dynamic. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, well, let's get going. So once again, I'm going to continue working on this X-Wing. I want to keep refining it and get to the bottom. Okay, for this. Also, if you guys did not see on our social media, we will be at GDC next week is GDC. So it's pretty exciting. For us, we'll have a booth. But the big thing, if anybody's going to GDC, which is the Gaming Developers Conference here in San Francisco, come by the booth. We're going to let you guys actually get your hands on the new ZBrush before it's even released to the public. Obviously, especially the ZModeler version on iPad, but we'll let you guys be able to sculpt right on the showroom floor, so that should be a lot of fun. So if you are there, come by, say hello. We'd love to see you. I'll be there. It'd be great to see if you're in the neighborhood for that conference. Okay, so as always, I'm just going to keep working on this, but when questions come up or things come up for you guys, just let me know. And we can do tangents. I'm all about tangents where we can, right? So definitely don't hesitate to come up with anything here that my questions that you might have. And so let's keep going on here. Hold on, for some reason my chat disappears. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. There we go, that'll keep it. All right, let's go. Let's turn on our floor grid that I have as a reference for me to kind of start building pieces off of this. Again, this looks like I need to adjust this still a little bit, but I also have another image for me to look at. So I'm going to bring that one in for me. When I'm doing this stage, I prefer using the floor grid. It's just something for me to use. So I'm going to bring in a different image. Let's bring in a different image and see what that looks like, and we'll line that up for us. So I have another image in here. Let me grab that from here. Alright, let's see if I can get that to come in. Sorry, I am on a different system than I normally am, and I had to do a lot of quick setup for me. Oh, that image is not coming in for me. Okay, well, we'll continue using this one. All right, so let me rock and roll with this. I'm going to resize these. Let's dock this over here. So I am going to be using this a lot. So let's go ahead and dock this over here. I'm going to readjust this. So something has happened in my adjustments. Oh, I am actually, it did come in. I'm looking at the wrong one. Hello. That's my problem. It might help if I look at the right image. Okay. Say something like this. Something like that. And then now let me rotate it. And then now I'm going to just zero out these offsets to see where I'm sitting here with this. Now we can do a little bit of adjustment. Probably need to go a little bit smaller. So we're getting close. There we go, we'll go right there. And then let's move it more this way, and then now I say we need to size it up more a little bit there. Okay, something like this is what I can use to take a look, right? And so now I have this image also on the side. So my left and right, can kind of size that one down a little bit more. We'll go point, yeah, right there. Seems to be a little bit in line with where I want. Looks like something happened to my edits. Okay. So I want to use some imagery to kind of line up some things. And now at this stage, I also like to use different textures for me to bring in and then use for Spotlight, especially. So I'm going to say I'm going to use this, and I'm going to have this as a little reference images. Let's see, I'm just looking at the stream to see what you guys can see. Alright, and then now I have something like this that I can look at all times and kind of get an idea of where I want to put things, and have things lay out the way I would want them to lay out. Let's see. I'm just catching up on the chat, just making sure I keep an eye on the chat. Okay, so we're going to do this. Take a look. I'm just going to continue kind of making the wings a little bit, going into the actual afterburners here. Okay, maybe we start working that way, working my way down this direction probably. Then now I can have both elements here available to me, and start looking at that. And let's say around there. And start looking at some elements here that I want to start making. Alright, down. Let's size it up just a little bit. And vertically move him to be more there. I would say zero that out. Well, maybe not. Image isn't perfectly. There, we'll go somewhere around there. That looks good. Okay. Now we've got a nice alignment here looking from the top view. And I want to start making some more elements here. So this has definitely got some more things in here. I think I have another image too. Let's bring one of those in on here. Let's see. Pretty sure I have another image kind of as a reference image for me. I find that swing, and then cursor. I made another. Here we go. This image. Let me bring this image in. I'll import that. You guys don't need to see all that. That's not anything of use. There we go. And now we will plop this in as well. I'm going to also adjust the opacity so we just see this the whole time, and then kind of scale it. And then any time I want to take a look at this, I can for some detailing, a little bit of understanding of what I'm trying to make in here. Okay, normally I'd also have the physical model, but unfortunately I left that at home. I'm in my office space at the Maxon office right now, so I have forgotten my physical object that I like to use. Okay, now that we're set and ready to go, let's get going. Okay, so first things first, let's start looking at some of the detailing that I might want to do. I'm going to start looking at, say, let's start looking through here. I'm just trying to figure out where I want to start playing and where do I want to start making something on this, because we've got some stuff in here. All right, let's finish this part up. Let's start putting this kind of more in a better position. There, we will have that aligned there a little bit more, and let's get the front part. So just making some adjustments in here. Okay, so I forgot to grab, hold on, I'm going to do the old pizza boxes and make sure I grab everything. Oops, I left some stuff behind. Definitely don't want anything in here. The only thing I want is this. There we go. Okay, and then I am going to, again, move this back a little bit more. Alright, and then this part needs to come, we'll make that come out more. There we go. And then this just needs to be moved up forward a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so we got that part. Let's go ahead and come to this wing here. I'm going to duplicate it. Okay, so again, while I'm going, if you guys have questions, by all means, please continue firing away some questions. I will do my best to answer everything that's popping up. So let's take this wing and I'm going to duplicate it. Alright, so here it is. I'm going to say let's duplicate it, and then I'm going to replace this actually. And I'm doing this because I am using array mesh to do all this. So as you can see, the right side is not actually giving you any red polygrouping, and it's because all of that is done through arrays. So I have really only one mesh that I'm playing with again, and everything else is just sitting where it needs to be. Okay, so I'm going to, my go-to is, that is 4. We'll keep that 3, but let's go ahead and increase all so we get a little something more like that. And then this is going to sit in here. Okay, and then we're going to make this a lot skinnier. Probably even a little bit more. There! That's where we're going to go with it. And then it's going to sit about there. Let's see, it's going to sit in the wing. Right there. Okay, and then I would say this portion up here needs to come in a lot more. Something right around there. Okay. And then now this needs to come inward a lot more. We'll center this. And it's going to also taper. Okay, so the thing here we got to think about is if I solo this out, you see how long this is? And because it's just literally 6 faces, this taper is pretty extreme. Okay, so it would be better for me to move this way up here so that it's not such an extreme gap, right? I'd want that to sit right about there. And then that way when I taper, the taper's a lot slower. It's not so extreme because I want to live somewhere in there with the taper for that part of the wing. And again, my goal is to 3D print this. So I'm going to have to keep this, a little bit of this in perspective for me to make sure I don't go too extreme with tiny, tiny, tiny parts. And then we'll run into real problems. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say here too, I'm going to switch to Z Modeler. I'm going to insert multiple edge loops and I'm going to use my specific here and I'm going to make sure that it's set all the way down the lowest. I'm also going to turn off the polygrouping change. I don't need that. And then now I'll tap. That gives me an edge loop dead center. Now I'll go back to single edge loop. And then this is the beauty of obviously being with array mesh. I'm going to turn on my symmetry. Okay, so I'm going to say X symmetry. And that is just by hitting the X key. But really, I want to change this. Probably want Z or, and then I'd say I'm going to turn on local as well. And then that's what I want. I want that. I want that local symmetry to just look at this one mesh and see where it is. Because what I'd like to do is kind of refine these corners a little bit. So I'm going to add an edge loop just to give it a little bit more shape there. And then I'll put another edge loop there. Okay, and now I have something like that. You know what? I might see, let's see what QGrid looks like. I think this might be a good candidate possibly for QGrid. Let's just do increase all. I kind of like the QGrid look better. So I'm going to go with that. Kind of like this in here. So this bubbling that's happening, that's what QGrid's doing over here. So this is the QGrid over here. Oh, do you hear a noise here? Let me see. Let's see if that kills the noise. How about that? Is that better? I guess I was picking up something in my office. You gotta let me know if that's better. Yeah, it's still there. I don't know. The only thing I can try and do, is it really bad? Like horrible? We can try and do an audio check here. I try and use my handy dandy air. Let's see. Let's try it. Why not? Let's see if we can do this. Let's do a quick audio change. Dangerous to do while streaming, for sure. I'm gonna go over here. System settings. We'll try this. This might be more clear for you guys. So give me 1 sec. Let's switch it up. We'll go Bluetooth. Connect. Okay. Okay. So what about this? Is this better? And see, fixed it. Okay, perfect. So we'll use my AirPods. There we go. I don't know if they'll last the whole stream, but we're gonna find out. You're all part of it. You're all come on together. All right, so back to the Q grid. The only time I use this is in a situation like this, where it's really more of a box shape. If it's something that's rounded, cylindrical, don't ever use this there because it's adding multiple edge loops on every real edge loop. Okay, so I would stay away from that if you're going to use this. So what I mean by that here, if we just solo this out, so we're only looking at this. So obviously this is an edge loop that I've made, right? This is an edge loop that I've made. Right. So, but what this does is create two edge loops. It creates one on either side of the real edge loops, and that's how it's doing this beveling. And then we could also change it to more of a rounded chamfering. So, which one do I want? Okay. And as you turn this Q grid slider up, 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 it's going to make a difference. You know what? Here, let's get rid of I think it'd be better here. Let me get rid of the magnify glass. Let's actually get rid of the curvature. Let's turn that off so we're just straight, and let's have no fade there. That way, this is way better for you guys. Okay. So what I mean by that is this Q grid, if you keep bumping this up, you're just making more edge loops, edge loops. So this is four edge loops on either side of every edge. So in essence, like if we take this edge right here, that's white, there is four on the right, four on the left, right? So that's a lot. So really, that's more for a chamfering. So you can kind of get a chamfering that you want. When you're just using this bevel, one is more than enough, and then you can play with the coverage, right? And you can see you can have a lot of different coverage for here. I'm gonna go with something. I just want a little bit. Just want a little something there. Like that's enough for me. Just also create a little bit more softness to go in there to have on that part of the wing. Um, and then that is something that I'll do all the time, right? So just be mindful that that is adding a lot of topology, okay? And then what the topology is doing on either side, okay? So moving along, let's continue looking at some of this. Let's go in here. Let's take a look in here and see the next step of things that I want to do. Okay, these little cubes right here, right? That's going to be around here. All right, so I'll add that little detail now. So that's a pretty simple one. Okay, so I will select these wings again. I'm going to switch this time to an insert mesh brush. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to take this cube. This cube I know already has the ability to just be a simple cube, six faces. So there's an insert cube and there's a quick cube. So the quick cube, here I'll turn on the polyframe. When I'm drawing it out, it's got very minimal edge loops, right? This cube, when I draw out, it's the one that has the pole. I never use this cube, really. It's not really a cube I tend to use a lot. So I prefer to use this cube. Okay, so I'm going to say, looking at the gizmo, okay, I'm going to say this is how I want the cube to land. Okay, so when I'm drawing out, I can hold the shift key and now this cube is snapped to that. All right. And then now I can say what I want to do because I know it's going to happen because this is the very top subtool. And I've started making things as I've gone here, especially these cut lines that we have through here. I don't want this to have a cut line because you see it shouldn't have a cut line there. Right. So I'm going to say I'm looking here and you can see the order of things. And right here are those lines that are being cut. So if I move this cube over here, okay, and I say I want it to live there, and then let's go with centering this. It needs to be a lot more like that. And I would say let's go ahead and I'm a big person to creasing things. I like to live in that creasing world. And we'll go right about here. So if we turn this off, you'll see that this cube is starting to have the line go through it, and it's because of the order, right? So this is the top main subtool, the base of my wing, and everything else now is contributing to it. And this bottom one is contributing the cuts. I don't want it. I want this to split off. So I'm going to split this off, okay? And then now it's by itself in there, right? I can keep it like this and have its own start group. Okay. Or I could technically move it below this subtool and then I would be fine. So what I mean by that is I could do something like this and not even have this be a start group and then see it still won't go through. I am going to do it this way because when I go to get this ready for 3D printing, I want all this to weld together. I want all this to work together. I don't want this to become its own little mesh. I want to make sure everything's welding together. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to rename this wing details box. Get really technical with our naming here. I'm going to definitely say I want this to be a lot more sharper. So I'm going to come and increase this up so it's a little bit something a little bit more closer to that. I might drop this to crease level 2 now, so it's just a little bit more soft. And I think now my biggest problem is if I'm looking, I want this to be a little bit smaller, I think, for me. I'm going to go smaller on mine. Then I'm going to give it a little bit more raised surface, just again, for the purpose of 3D printing, making sure that is really standing out for me. I'm going to say I want to live probably in that world, in there. I kind of, you know what? I might like it a little bit more sharp. Let's take a look at this. I don't know if I want to go that sharp. Okay. And then I'm going to say, okay, I want another one of these in there. So now I can just hold the control key, arrow it out, and then I'm going to say I want another one right there. Okay. And then the benefit is I'm now making these, and you see it's going on every wing because when I put it on this and then I split it off, it's still remembering all the array meshes that I've done. So the array mesh is carrying over for me, right? So which is rather pretty important. Okay, and then I'm going to say I like this idea of putting another little one up there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's a lot smaller. So I'm just going to unmask this portion in here, and I'm going to do that copy again. And I'm going to put one up here. I'm going to go smaller with it, and we'll just put it in place. I want it to live right around there. Because this one's smaller. I'm going to also make sure I pull it out just a little bit more in there so that hopefully the print really grasps that, right? So there we go. Got a couple more details in there that I want to have. I see there's something coming in as a question. So yes, QGrid is a dangerous slider for sure. I agree. One question. Take a cylinder. Now on the flat side, how can I make a hemisphere by using the modeler, adding multiple edge loops when I do it in the center? It's not good. Okay, so let me make sure I understand what you're looking for. Let's grab a cylinder. Cylinder. I love tangent time. Tangent time. All right, let's go ahead and go to the initialize. I'm just going to say we don't need as many edge loops here. Okay. And that looks good enough for me. Make poly mesh. So what I'm assuming is you kind of want I'm assuming, let's see, who is this? Harsh, you're asking, so you want a cylinder, and in essence, you want a dome hemisphere on the top of it. That's what you're looking for? That's what you're looking for, right? Just to clarify. Because then what I could play with is this cylinder and then switching to Z modeler. Okay, I'm going to show you more in one way. If this is really what you're looking for. Okay, I'm going to say let's delete some faces. I'm going to say flat island. Okay, so there's certain faces that I just want to get rid of with one click. So I'm going to say let's get rid of this with one click. I'm going to turn on display properties here so that you guys can fully see what's going to happen here. So now we've got my cylinder, it's capped on the bottom, and now we want like a spherical element on the top. Okay. So then what we want to look at is hovering over this edge. Okay. And then we want to close it. But we don't want this. We don't want that kind of close. We want a convex. Okay. And then I would say maybe circle. All right. And then now I have interactive resolution on, interactive curvature, twist is off. Okay. Columns are on. And then so now I just click here, and then there you go. You got your hemisphere. Right. And then you can hold the shift key too. So you can freely go left to right, up and down. Okay. And so if you hold the shift key, it'll snap like there. That's a hemisphere. And so now what I can do is say, how about I want polygroup rows? This is the kind of fun stuff that you can do. That's why we're really excited that ZMolder is going to be coming to the iPad, right? Because then you can do stuff like this. Then I can say, oh, let's Q mesh this, polygroup all it, right? I don't need to go select those faces. And then you can do things like that, right? And then when we go ahead, yeah, you got something like that. So this is one way you could do that. All right. The other way that we could do that is let's take a sphere, or let's take this sphere, right? This has got subdivision levels, so I'm going to get rid of the subdivision levels. Let's get rid of those. I'm actually also going to reconstruct and go even lower. Uh, sure, that's low enough. This is just a personal preference, I think. Then I'm going to hit the gizmo. This is sitting right at the center, right? It's sitting right there at the center of my sphere right now. So then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, let's use a deformer. And this time, let's use the extender. All right. And now we've got these cones. And my most important cone is the orange cone. And I want to now grab this so it extends. And what I want to do is only extend the bottom half to go downward. All right. So right now, by default, this is set up to be symmetrical. So whatever I'm pulling on the bottom, it does on the top. If I pull on the right, it does on the left, so forth and so on. So all I need to do then is this is the cone, which is my y-axis. I'm going to say let's turn off. This is the symmetry cone. So I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to, instead of pulling it up, I'm going to pull it down. And then now when I pull on this bottom cone, sound effects so crucial. This is what you get. Okay. And then you have other controls here. You can have creasing, no creasing. I can inflate it out. I can inflate it in, right? So this has other powers. I can also add edge loops in the middle if I want some more edge loops in there. Just I want something like that, right? So now we've got some kind of like pill shape. Then I would say, okay, I like that. And then now all I have to do is there's multiple ways to do this. I'm just going to stick with the deformer. I'm going to switch to flatten and right, and then now I can just grab this cone and then flatten it, and same thing in essence, right? I got that same thing. I just used deformers, and then now I'm going to say always smooth it out, and then there you go, right? And then if I this is all creased up, so if I uncrease all, this is what you're going to get, right? So if you start with the sphere, you could also just use one of the deformers. Okay, so there's two quick ways that you can do that, and I'm always for tangents. Oh, am I always for tangents? Put that cape on. Okay, so hopefully, Harsh, it looks like the first one was good for you. And then you've got that second one there that you can keep going with. Make sense? Good for you. All right, let's continue moving on. Let's get back into Mr. X-Wing here. All right, so let's continue looking at the details and stuff that I want to put in. Again, I forgot let's see. We might need to go get some more references because I normally have my physical model and seeing what other details we want to start that I have not gotten. I got everything in here. I got everything here now and everything here that I want. Let's now start looking at this. Let's start detailing the cannons up. So let's really take a look at this. So what I'm going to do is this portion right here for me now is really the only part that I kind of want to take a look at and kind of start making something with this, right? Because you can see there's some repeating pattern stuff in here. There is something going on in there. We got these cylinders here. There's a piece there, and there's something there, right? So I'm going to probably need to go find some more images, but I can definitely start with this. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to switch to the paintbrush in here, okay? And I'm going to just make this be a little bit smaller. I'm going to switch my colors to black. So I'm hitting the V key for victorious. I'm just going to hit that V key. And so now you can see my X-Wing in the background. He's pure black. So I'm just switching over here from white to black, which is switch color. Okay. I have the paintbrush. I'm going to grab this in Spotlight. Okay. And then you can see I can start painting out. And what I'm going to also do is I put the focal shift down a little bit here. Let's throw an alpha on this too. And now I can start, in essence, painting out parts of the image that I don't really care about right now. I just want to focus on what I want to focus on. So if you're using pure black in Spotlight, and there's a reason why I'm doing this, because I'm going to enlarge and zoom into that area. And I don't really want to look at anything else right now. I just want to focus on this right here. Okay. And so now I can move over here. We can zoom in, right? And then I can move this here. And then let me make sure you guys see that in the stream. Okay. I can go all really big here. Okay. And then now I can switch back. And now I can pay attention to this and really start diving in here and getting some of those details that I want. So there's a cooler masking way for this as well. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that with, let's grab this image over here. Okay. And this has got a certain color in the background. If you guys switch to this color, okay. And then now you say, okay, I want to start doing stuff with this image in here. I'm going to say, let's start filling it, see, with white. And what it's doing is taking the color over here. So if I say, let's grab a blue, it's now filling with blue. I'm doing like a drag out. So you see, I can fill this with blue, which means if we switch to black, I can literally do that. So because this image has a consistent color, but then because it's like a blueprint, it has the black lines. I'm in essence thinking I'm doing this, right? So if we do with the blue, I'm painting with the blue, okay? But if I click anywhere and I hold the control key and drag, ZBrush will analyze and look at like the variation in intensity and give us this ability. Okay, so if we pick something maybe a little more interesting here, let's pick something else for you, us. Okay, so let's do this. Let's size this down. We don't want it that big. Let's go in the light box just so you guys can get an understanding of this because I do this a lot. I'm using Spotlight as like kind of like a table. I'm sure a lot of you are using things like Pure Ref and stuff like that, right? So this is in essence, think about this. This is a little bit of like a Pure Ref inside of ZBrush. That's what Spotlight's giving me. Okay, so I'm going to add this to this. And now this, if I come, we'll stick with this and let's do this again. And if I decide to go, hey, let's hold the control key, you can see this starts growing out. And see, at some point, it'll start filling the thing in the middle. So, but I can do this in stages. I can do this, control key, control key, and then obviously you can just paint things out where you want to paint out. Okay, this is in my way. So control key, and your tolerance is controlled by the brush size. So if you go a little bit smaller brush size, it's going to be a different tolerance for you. Right. So then obviously again, if I switch to black, right, and now I can start in essence getting rid of this because you can paint obviously with all this too, right? And then sculpt. So this is a way for you guys to kind of get images and block them out. Mr. Patrick 4D, what's up, my man? Thanks for coming. All right, so I don't want that image anymore. We're gonna flip this. We don't want this in the blue. Forget that. Okay, I want to start saying, let's get back into this guy. Let's start now getting some details in here. Let's start working this out. Okay. I definitely want to start putting something like this in there. Again, I know down the pipeline, I am going to be using 3D printing. I'm going to print some stuff. So I'm always thinking in the back of my head, and I'm trying to simplify things for me as easy as possible. Okay. So obviously, if we're looking at this, like I'm looking at this pattern here. Okay. It has obviously a particular gap here between each one. And then there's this part coming out. Right. So box modeling wise, I could figure this out, figure out the number of spans I need and I want. And then, so what I mean by that is we can look at it in this case, right? Is I'm looking at saying, okay, I want to skip every two in essence, right? So we can go boom, two, boom, two, boom, boom. Okay, so forth and so on. And then this is a different polygroup. And then now if I just Q mesh polygroup all, I get this, right? So the thing you got to think about is I got to make sure I get the right number here, right? So in essence, we're going every three. So we're skipping two, then going one, skipping two, going one, skipping two, going one. So I would need to make sure, hey, if I'm continuing this pattern, that that pattern continues throughout this whole cylinder, right? Again, though, I am 3D printing, okay? And you can see that pattern doesn't hold up because now I got a problem. I don't have two here. So if we go back, the original cylinder, okay, this one, we would need this to be 33 probably, okay? And then I can make polymesh. Now, there is a way that if I take this polygrouping and I say polyloop, okay, then I can do checker, and then I can try saying, well, checker it up, right? So this is possible. So now I got every other, every other, every other, right? But that's not really what I want. I want this, right? So I want then this to be the blue, and then this, whoops, and then this to be blue, and then skip, and then blue, right? So right now we've got a checkered ability, but we have no way yet of controlling, hey, every other kind of like this pattern that I want. You can do it with masking in the initial cylinder, but you can't do it here. So see, that's what I want. So I wanted 33, okay? And then now I don't want the blue. This would be one. We'll make that a different color. Now you have this, right? And then again, Q mesh. Let's say Q mesh, and we'll do polygroup all, and then there you go, right? This is what I'm looking to try and make. This is what I'm trying to make right in here, right? Okay. Did you start your 3D modeling with ZBrush, or how long were you doing? Everything I've done for this is all ZBrush. I don't very rarely do I leave ZBrush to do any kind of modeling stuff anymore. ZModeler and then other hard surface techniques has really gotten me really fast and got me to the point here of being able to do things. And so this is where I just live most of the time. Yeah, you want a Jarvis, right? Yes. I'm not kidding. I've thought about that myself. I'd love sound effects in ZBrush too. That'd be some fun stuff. Okay, so this is one way we could go about this. Okay. So obviously what I'm doing is I'm gonna do this. We need, okay, we need that to live in an area. Okay. And I need the repeating one in here. Right. So this is the one that is working right now for me. So I would say we've got that selected. Now I would insert, in essence, we would do, well, when you're going back and forth, we're going to do an insert and then drop this in place. Okay. And then I would call this, let's call this Canon repeat pattern. Okay. And then now I just adjust this and put this really quickly in its place, right? So I was making it on a different tool. Now we do this and we go here. Okay. So what we're going to have is, okay, well, I have this problem, right? How do I snap this to the center of the other one, right? I want this to somehow snap perfectly here. Okay, so we're gonna try something in here. I'm gonna show you this. Okay, so this cannon I built, right? And as you can see, this cannon is built out of um the whole piece in here, right? So where is there's the version right there. Okay, so this cannon has got everything kind of all as one right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something a little different here. We're gonna try something. Okay. Make it happen with Jay. I love that. That's a great name, man. You guys come up. I need to come with a better name for my call sign. I like to call it, we're sticking Top Gun call signs. All right, so I'm going to duplicate this actually. Let's solo this out. So we're just looking at that. And I only care about actually these polygroups right here. In fact, I don't even care about that. I just only care about this right now. All right, and then I'm going to say, let's delete this. I'm going to show you another way to do this too. I'm throwing stuff at you guys as I do this. And then I'm going to say the same thing we did here, right? This time I'm going to do one line, okay? So that when I just tap, I get something like this, right? And I can control this. Like this to me is plenty good enough. That's all I need. All right, so now this becomes pretty important. So I'm going to unsolo this. And what I want to do, okay, is I'm going to go to V2 here. And I'm going to say, let's have this on and this on. And I don't know if you guys ever use this, but now I can say I can go back and everything's back, and then I can go V2, and now I only have these two shapes. So in essence, this is what the V1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is for. Is sometimes I want to only look at certain parts of my model. I want to like turn everything off. Like in this case, I'm turning everything off, right? And then this is what I want to do, okay? Because I want this piece now to kind of start working here, okay? And I'm going to even say, I'll even put this for fun. Let's try it. Let's put a little rotation there. Okay. And what I'm going to do is say, let's take this and I'm going to snap it to here. Okay. So I'm going to say, let's go here to let's say here. Okay. And this point in the contacts, I'm going to say, do this and I'll apply it. And you see it moves to there. Right? So this is moving to that point on that surface, right? So if I move this, okay, when you're doing this, this is the point of interest, and then this is where you want it to move to, in essence. Where do you want that to go to? So this is looking at the other subtool to do that, right? So what I've done is I'm saying, okay, this vertex point right here, so that's why I can actually prefer using do this kind of an even thing. So it only needs really one. And I can say take that point and I want it to live right there. And then I can say that's the first one, and then it snaps to that. So you do have this snapping ability to do this. Okay. So the first thing that probably we'd want to try is what if we did this? What if we did that? Okay. And then we say merge down. It's like this is experimenting, right? And thinking about this. Then I say, I want this, right? Kind of, I want, let's see where we're at right here. There we go. Okay, so I want, where'd you go? There you are. I want to go from there to there, right? That's kind of what I want there. Okay, and right now, array mesh is on. And right now I'm using array mesh to be my transpose. So obviously this is what you guys would think to do. Okay, something like this. So, but you can see it's not going to work, right? This is only working by subtool based. Okay, but it is a way to snap. So what I'm trying to highlight is there's a problem here. I kind of want to have what I've been doing and creating a shape and doing this. Okay, so my number one output and the number one thing I'm trying to make is 3D printing. All right. So my problem is I've got a shape, I got to do this. So I need to get around this. So the easiest thing for me to get around this would actually be picking this up from here, right? Understanding that if I look at this and if I say create an insert mesh brush, then I say new, okay? Then I come back to here, right? Let's zoom in on this here. All right. I don't need this anymore. Get rid of it. See sound effects. Get it out of here. Get it out of here. This is probably one of those Lisa needs braces moment, probably, that we need to have for sure. Okay. Uh so and kind of the look up here, okay, thing. So Lisa needs braces. Lisa needs braces for the users. Okay, enough of my silliness. So because I made this, there's a vertex dead center there, right? So it's easier for me to just say, okay, well, I'll just draw this out, and then there's that piece, right? And I'm snapping to the center of where I need to snap, okay? And I'm already arraying this. This is kind of what I want, all right? And then what I don't want anymore is this piece back here, right? So I can flip this selection and then delete hidden. And now if we go back to V1, I've got this where I need it, right? And then I want to center this now, and I want it to live a little bit more smaller, I would say, than it sits in. And I say it sits out a little bit more, something like that. Okay, so now we've got this kind of nice repeating pattern happening there. And I would say actually, I want to go bigger. I'm going to go more like in that world. And I'm going to now go to the cannon. Okay. And then this cannon part here, right? We need to fix this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually look at this differently here. I'm going to delete that edge. Okay. I'm going to Q mesh, polyloop this up, and I don't need that edge anymore. Okay. And then I'm going to say, let's go ahead and polygroup, polyloop. So we've got this and not checkers. We don't want any checkers, but you can see that's another way you guys could do it. All right. And I don't need that edge loop right now. And then I want to say, okay, let's unsolo everything. Let's start seeing what this looks like. Okay. So it's a little too far out for me. I got an edge loop right here. I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to say, let's Q mesh this now. And let's say polygroup all. And I'm going to pull on this, but I'm going to hold the shift key. And I'm looking at the image right now. I'm going to say, I'm going to live kind of right there, I think is where I want to live with this. Maybe a little bit, yeah, right around in there, I think. And you know what? I might go back a little bit more. Then I'm going to insert an edge loop here. I'm going to say it comes up right about to there, right? And then now I want this to be a polygroup. I want this to be a different polygroup. Then Q mesh, and now this obviously needs to get pushed in. I'm just going to push in a little bit. I just want to kind of sell that this is happening, obviously on the wing. Okay. Again, I got to think about 3D printing here. I got to think about making sure I've got enough volume in all this. I don't want to get too crazy with this. Okay. Be a Padawan. All right. Totally. And I do everything in ZBrush. That's kind of you to say, make it happen with Jay. The team would love to see that for sure. You know, 18 years where I've been developing ZBrush and being a part of it. It's been a really fun ride for me. Okay. I'm gonna say, all right, I like this. I kind of like how there's a really nice part in here. So I'm gonna play with that. I want to definitely think about playing with that a little bit more. So I'm gonna go, let's put insert an edge loop here. I'm gonna Q mesh this out even a little bit more. And I'm going to say it also, let's go with in the inside here. Let's slide the complete edge loop in there. Let's put that down. Actually, let's get rid of this. So let's solo this out. We're going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. And I'm going to now bring it way down to, I'm going to say, let's get a little like that. Then let's go back out. We'll make a new poly group. Something like, let's go that big. Get a little bit more volume in there. Okay, well, that looks good. Looks good in there. Looks good in there. Okay, let me see how this is looking with everything else on. Okay, I like that. I'm going to come in here now and let's do multiple inserts. I'm going to do interactive resolution. I actually do want a polygroup this time. And I'm going to do something like, I think that's good enough for me. And I don't need, oops, I don't need these polygroups here. I mean, sorry, those edges there. And then I'm going to delete that edge and then delete that edge and give me something more like that. I think I went a little too extreme though. I went a little too extreme here, I think. So I'm going to adjust this a little bit more. I'm going to go more in that realm. And I'm going to go more in there. Yeah, that looks better. And then this one, I'm going to slide this one up too. Let's slide that one up a little bit more. And then over here, let's insert and delete. Okay, and now we got something a little bit more like that. Okay, like that. I'm going to unsolo this because what I think I also would like to do is bring all of this forward a little bit. So I just want to make this a little bit bigger, something more in that realm. There you go. There. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, and then this mesh, let's now get with this one. Let's go ahead and turn on dynamic. Oh boy, that's not what I want. So I live in that crease world, is what I like to live in. Okay, so I'm gonna say let's crease this up. Crease. I want to go on an angle. Let's also do a PG creasing. Okay. I would say I want a little bit more. I don't like how round that is there, so I'm definitely going to probably tweak that a little bit for sure. I think I want to do that. Okay, and take a look at that. So let's just take a look at this as a whole. I don't like what's happening right here, and that is because the creasing, and then this has one vertex pole at the middle here. So let's go to ZModeler. Let's say let's insert, and I'm going to add a little bit here to it too. So I'm going to insert a single edge loop and go right about there. Then I'm going to say let's go ahead and crease that complete edge loop. Now we got something like that. And I'm going to put also another one. I want to put another edge loop insert here. It's funny when you're doing this, when you're streaming that, how much you're talking through what's in your mind. It's like, I'm going to do this here. And then I'm going to do that there. Okay, we're going to make this a new polygroup. Shrink it, make that a new polygroup as well. So now we have this. You mesh this out, but this time I'm going to do that. I'm holding, again, the shift key to do this. Shifting it up, shifting it up. Okay, okay, that looks a little bit better. I like that. I'm going to now switch here. I'm going to switch to one of my handy dandies. Okay, you can use the slice curve for what I'm about to do. But you know what? I want to show something else because what I want to do is, in essence, what I want to do is I want to use slice curve to kind of make just an edge loop through here real fast, right? Just something like that. Okay, so because I want that to kind of not be so rounded. So I'm adding an edge loop so it's not so rounded. Now this is fast because I can just do this, right? This is going to change the polygrouping. So if I hold the control and tap on the document, if I do this, it's only adding an edge loop and it doesn't change the polygrouping. So what I've done is I've masked off everything and then now I get an edge loop there. Okay. So here's the thing though. If let's say we're playing in the world of I want this on both sides. Okay. And I don't want to use something like mirror and weld either. I just want to have two edge loops that are going through there, right? So I could go and say with this control and space bar, we have a B radius, a polygrouping, split the parts now on clip. I'm going to say B radius, which stands for brush radius. And just so you guys can see, when I do this, I get now two edge loops, okay, which is by the brush radius. So if I go a little bigger brush size, I can do something like this. And then now I have these two edge loops right here, right? happening. And so that is giving me a little bit more consistency. Okay, but I could also, again, just showing off more of what we can do here. I'm going to say, I'm going to center this, but what I'm going to center it on, I'm going to center it on something very important to me. So looking at this, you know what the most important part for me is this portion. Okay. So I'm masking off so that when I do this, it centers base to here. So if you really wanted to, you could technically just do, whoops, just do this, right? And then if you click this, see it's centering based upon what's unmasked. And what I want to get is I want to get dead center of that green portion, right? So this is how I can overcome that. Like, because right now this mesh is not symmetrical, right? There's obviously more sticking out the front and there's nothing there in the back. And I want an edge loop. So I'm just using masking to do this for me and then rock and roll. And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm going to now use a deformer instead. Okay. And then we have a multi-slice and then we have a slice. And what it's going to do is that blue dot is sitting, in different spots. Okay. And so I want to start thinking about, okay, what if I now do this and move that blue dot? What am I getting? I'm getting two, right? I'm getting two edge loops, okay, that I can move. So I turn this and see, I'm getting two edge loops here. And I can go this way too if I wanted to. Oh, and then now I just crashed. Goodbye. Look at that ugly desktop. Right. Let's see what we got in the quick save there. All right. There we go. No, 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 no. Let's see. I might need to redraw it all out again. Yeah, it was a while since we had a quick save. So all over again. I got to do it all over again. Okay, so I need this. Okay, I am going to do what I want as the front right now, what I just did. So I'm going to just do it right here on this guy. This is normally what I would do. Okay, so I'm going to say insert complete edge loop. I want one there. I want one there. Okay, I'm going to say polygroup flat island. Flat island. Right, something like this. Then I can just select this, shrink it. Okay, in there. Actually, we don't want any of this because it's all on the same island. So let's get rid of this. We'll make that a new polygroup now. Okay. And I definitely don't want any of these. We'll make that a new polygroup. Shrink, Control W. That's a new polygroup. And now we're going to Q mesh, polygroup all, pull out, but I want a little lip in there. I'm going to put an edge loop here. And then I'm going to say, let's go ahead and crease that. Let's crease that. Let's crease that. And then make things easier. Let's crease by PG. Let's take a look at what we got now. Say we need to crease that back end here. We need to crease this, or crease that up. We're going to drop this in crease level, probably around more like 2, dynamic of 4, so I can get that piece again, kind of what I want. And again, I want this to sit there, and then I'm going to, oops, not pin. Again, we got the slice here, and then now I'm just slicing that direction and then moving the dots, and then there you go. And so now I have that. So this is changing that, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. A little something more like that. And if I want, I can also use slice circle and then use a square and centered. And then I can use this dot right here, right? And I can draw out this, right? And then put this right there. And then this, boom. We'll add that. And what I've done is made this portion, right? This is what I had. This is what I have. Add, have. Okay. There you go, right? So I just want that to be a little bit more tighter in there for sure for me. And I think the rest of it is good to go. I'm going to, this is just me being me. I definitely want to put an insert edge here. I don't think it's necessary because you're never going to see this. It's just me being me. And it's, I know I'm going to turn this into an insert mesh brush. I might want to use this over and over and over and over again as well. Okay. So now I'm going to say, I'm going to pick this up, brush, create insert. I'm going to say new. Now I've got that. We're going to come back into here. Let's turn on polyframe so I can look at the one that I want. And realistically, guys, now I just have to click this one right here, right? I just click this, and then now I have it, right? And then now this just needs to be moved way down in space, way more down here. And then I'm gonna go a lot bigger, something like that. Okay, I'm gonna go even bigger. I want that look. And I'm gonna live right in there. I'm gonna live right in that realm. Okay, because I kind of like this. I want that little kind of ridge there, just to add a little bit more to it. And so what I need to do is these faces, right? So again, if we solo look at this, let's go ahead and split this off. Okay, and then now, okay, we'll recall this Canon pattern. Whoops. Okay, and then why slice dot not centered? So you're talking want to use a slice brush? It that brush is kind of like a floating brush, so it doesn't have the ability yet to snap to surfaces. But I'm using that middle dot as my guide to put it there, but it can't snap to there. But I can use it as my guide and then get that to work that way if I wanted to. Obviously, the other way really to do this instead of even doing that is right. See, this is all one polygroup, right? So if I want to now, just like this, I can do this. Like I could have just done this, right? Technically, and that's kind of what I want to do here. This is now, I want this to live more right in there is kind of where I want that to live a little bit. Now I got to fix the canon, right? Because I originally came in here and say, and I don't need this. Okay, so what I did was you could go this route there, right? And then now looking at this again, I don't want that. I don't really need that anymore. Right now, I don't want that. Right now, I don't want that. So they're both there like this. And then I want this to come out. So what I'm going to do here is I'll just do a poly loop instead. And I want this to come out. Now let's look at this. Probably right around there. All right. And then now I want an inserted edge loop there. Okay. And then I want to come through here and then say this, right? Actually, we'll do this instead. This is sticking out too far now. Let's put it inside there. Now we have that. I have this. Okay. And then now we'll solo this out. Right, so I got that, I got that, I got that. I'm going to insert an edge loop here as well. One right there. Okay, and I'm going to, we don't need this one. Oh, we'll keep that one. I'll keep that. All right, I'm going to align these. Just gonna align these. Could also use the clip brush to do this if I wanted to, but I'll just stick with the gizmo right now. Do a little alignment here. There we go. Do a little something like that. Okay, good, good, good. This is going to now Q mesh inward. Something like that. I'm going to want this creased. Crease. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. All right, and then now through here, I'm going to do multiple edge loops. I'm going to do this, and I am going to do a masking instead. Complete edge loop. I'm going to mask that, mask that. Okay, I'm going to inverse that, center that. And then now I can just put it, I'm going to put it right there, I think. Okay, and then now this, all group all, I can do this and then just do that. And boom, we got back to where I was. And then this, I'm not a fan of how skinny this is. Oh, let's just do a poly loop. Let's not do the poly group because I'm changing the other elements. I want this to be, especially since this is going to be 3D printed. Oops. I want this to be a lot bigger. Again, I'm holding the shift key as I'm doing this instead of doing just Q mesh. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, now we've got this happening. We got that happening. I like that. I'm good to go. Everything's overlapping. Let's get this to be overlapping a little bit more. So let's do Q mesh, polygroup all. Let's just have that overlap more, especially for the point of eventually I want to 3D print this out. Okay, there you go. Okay. Hey, next week, just like old times for Z. Okay, make it happen with Jape. Are you planning to hold online conferences in GDC? No, we're not going to be streaming. We are going to have a booth on the showroom floor, but we won't be streaming out. You have to physically be at GDC. Nothing will be streamed out. If that's what you're asking, make it happen with Jay. That's what you're going to have to do. So, and let me bring in my spotlight references now. Again, so I will, let's save next on this. So I got to save as well. Let's bring in those reference images that I had. Again, let's import those. Let's see, where did I put those? There it is. Okay. And then let's bring in the other one. Forgot to bring in the other one. There we go. Let me switch to a brush that can accept textures. Plop that in, plop that in. And then now we can do this. So we can zoom up right into here if we want. Gotta put that there in the top. And then this guy, we are going to, again, we're looking at just this one little section here. Right, so we're going to do that. And let's do the painting thing again. So I'm going to switch to a paintbrush, switch to black, go with a lot bigger brush size. And let's switch to paint. Start doing this. So I'm going to make the image a lot smaller so I can get rid of a lot of it quicker. I'm going to add an alpha so it's a harsher brush. No more gradient, no more gradient. Oops. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Don't need to be perfect. As long as I got what I want. Good enough. Good enough. And then I'm going to scale this up. Let's move it to the top corner again. There, and then scale a little bit bigger brush size. A little bit bigger brush size. I'll get rid of more of it. There we go. Okay, back here. And then, of course, if I'm using this as a reference, realistically, I should go in the brushes here. I should go into samples, and I should turn off the spotlight projection so that any brush you switch to, you're not having to do this. And then now, if I want, I can save this out in textures. I can save out this spotlight reference. I'll put it where I want. Save. So therefore, there, I got it saved out now. Okay. Let's continue going here. All right. Okay, so from the outside, okay, I would say that's looking good. There's a pattern in here. I don't think this image does a good job of showing that. So let me launch the handy dandy internet here and see if I can find a better image for me. X-Wing. Let's see if I can find something really quick here that gives me a good indication of really what's happening in there. Wish I had my little model with me, but I don't. I have my good references with me. There it looks like, okay, this one's not bad. Okay, this pretty good one. Okay, this is an image of a 3D print. We don't want that. We don't want that. Yeah, sorry guys, I forgot my one referencing, so now I gotta find some more references. It's definitely another kind of looks like another repeating pattern in there, right? That's happening. So in essence, another one of something like this, but just less of them repeating, in essence. That's what it is. Okay, so I'm going to put in there some stuff. And I would say it looks like it does have that ridge, so I'm going to keep that ridge where it is. Okay, so I'm going to say this. Let's go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this as well. Okay, so let's say subtool, subtool, and let's duplicate this again. Rename, I'm just going to name this inner pattern. For now, good enough. I'm going to turn my gizmo on. I'm going to center this and I'm going to reset this so it's perfectly straight. Then I'm going to put this, I want it here. I want something here, right? Okay, this is where I want it to be. I'm going to then say, let's replace it with a cube. And I don't want any of the spans, any of the spans, any of the spans happening in here. Okay. Then I can say, let's look at this and say, right? So I've got multiple steps here. So again, here, I'm going to solo this out so you guys can see. Right, so I got multiple little steps happening here to give me all the four sides of the wings, right? That's what's going on here. So what I want to try and do is, hey, let's try some array again. So I'm going to say, let's crease this all so it's more squared like this. I definitely want this to be a little bit more skinnier like that. Let's say now, okay, now what if I say, let's append a new, I'm going to turn this on, okay? So here's the thing. This is looking at now everything, right? It's looking at all the stuff that we can do, right? So I want to now say, well, I want this to kind of live in a different area per se. I want this to be somewhere different as we go through it. So this pivot point becomes really important for me. Okay. So if I'm looking at just this, I want this pivot point to live over here, is actually where I want this pivot point to live. I want to live like there. That way, when I say, hey, let's make eight, and then let's rotate them. So you want to rotate them probably the Z. Yep. So I'm going to say 360 degrees. And now they're sitting like that, right? So this pivot point, as you guys can see, allows you to kind of move them around in space like that. Okay, so I'm going to say something like that. Then I'm going to switch back to this. And then I'm going to say, let's move it out so it lives like that. And now I can say, let's go a little bit skinnier, right? So what's happening now is they're happening everywhere, right? There's multiple arrays. So what I'm going to do, okay, is I'm going to do the opposite a little bit here. I'm going to go back to this. Okay, this is sitting where I want it to sit. And I'm going to say right now, I'm just going to delete all the arrays that I have and start with just this one. Okay, and then now I'm going to say, let's turn on array mesh. And now you see the difference is this is the first array. So now that center point is sitting dead center of this for me. Okay, so now if I do that kind of repeating thing again, I can say, okay, I want eight of them, and then I want to rotate around the Z 360 degrees. Okay, and then now switching back to this, I can say, okay, I definitely want them to be a little bit skinnier, and then move this up. And then now this, okay, needs to now also come way down. So it needs to sit way more in like that. Keep going. Something more like that. And not so much. And I would still stay more like that. A little bit more like that right in there. Right? And then I would say I'll go a little bit more skinny with this. Not too much, just a little bit more. Okay, and I want to see what's happening in here. Something weird happened to me in here. Looks like I've got an inner edge in there. Oh yeah, see, I got another edge in there. I gotta fix that. There we go. And there, and there. So when I was doing this, there you go. Okay, Perfect. Okay. And then now that I have this one, right? This is kind of what I wanted to do. And then now, array wise, I come down here and I say make mesh. And then now I've got it. Okay. And now all I need to do to get everything else to sit in the right spot, I'm going to turn array back on. I'm going to go up to this cannon. I'm just using the arrow key to go up it. Okay. And then now I want to copy this. Okay. So here we're going to do this. We'll just solo this out. So I'm going to copy this and then I can paste it. Right. So that makes this side to this side. Go back up. Let me get stage two now. I want to copy stage two, go down here, append a new, and then paste. And so I just took stage one and two, and now I've got them where I want them. So as I use array, it's just another technique I'm trying to show and highlight. Okay. And then just that's what I'm looking for in there to have something like that. Okay. And that's that. So then now let's come over on this side and we need to get some kind of little piece in here and then go from there. Okay. So I'm going to say, you know what? Let's go ahead and I like to keep making new subtools personally. So I'm going to duplicate again, rename this. I'm going to call this side cannon items. So I want this to say live here. And then now I've already got all the arrays. So this is going to be a benefit for me. Let's replace everything with a cube. I'm going to say I want it to go right about there. Say it lives right around in that realm, somewhere around in there. Okay, and then let's get now going with the crease. There we go. Okay, look, it's say it's pretty. There's a pretty long portion right in there. There's another element right in there. And then I would say these look like two cylinders coming out of that. For me, that's what it's kind of looking like. All right. So I'm going to say, all right, let's take and duplicate this. Let's do this and say, let's go with cylinder. It's already in the right direction. Let's crease it so it does that. Let's size it down. It looks like it lives right on the edge, like right here. In fact, let's also just solo this out. So we're just looking at this right now. Here, hold on. Let me paint this out. This little back black part. It's gonna get me every time. Whoops. Whoops. What is that part? Let's see. It is that image. I don't even know what that is. Did I paint it black? I've gone too far. There you go. It's interesting. Never seen that before. I'll live with it. Okay, I've got this. Let's change the color back. Let's move this. It's going to live more in there, kind of more like this kind of a thing. Then I'm going to say, let's do local dynamic symmetry like this in here, right? I'm going to turn off array right now. And then I'm going to go to our handy dandy modify topology and mirror well along the Y. So I get both cylinder parts. And then these need to stretch all the way out. So I'm actually going to, let's do this instead. Make that a new polygroup. All right, let's see what we need here for length. So remesh this. Oops. We want polygroup. We want polygroup all. That's what we want. There we go. Now it'll be easier for me to just do this. There. And then that's where they are living right now. Okay, and then now I can turn my array mesh back on. See where that is, how that's feeling. Maybe move it more there. I want to live more. Let me look at the side. There. The silence is deafening. There's something more like that. Maybe I need to bring them out just a bit. Or something more like that. I'm going to do that. Okay, and then let's take this piece. This piece is a lot. I think it's hard to see in this image, but I think it definitely goes all the way back. And you can see right here, there's definitely some kind of little box shape there. And in this case, if they look at this image, it sits way far back, right? It goes way back there. So I would say I'm off here. We need this to live more, I'm gonna say more in that round right there. And then I would say this box is a lot longer. Now, if you look, okay, so if we look at this, it sits in the middle of that a little bit. I say I'm gonna go right about there for me, like this. Okay, and then I would say brush Z modeler. I'm going to, here we'll solo this out, so we're just looking at this. I would say there's an edge loop almost that sits somewhere probably right around, let's do a single, right around there. I'm going to crease this as well. And then I'm going to take these two vertex points and push them down. Push, hit that angle. I'm going to hide the mask so I can kind of see what it's doing. I'm going to go a little bit more extreme there. Okay, I want that to stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to insert another edge loop there, and maybe another edge loop there, just so that kind of is standing out a bit more for me the way I want. It's tough to say, I gotta find a better image of. I feel like those cylinders kind of sit out higher. Like if I look at this, they kind of look like they go all the way to the back there, and then whatever's there is that. Which I'm definitely gonna need a better image for that. But it kind of looks like to me that this goes all the way back there for sure. Okay, and then obviously looking at this, I say this needs to even come out even just a little bit more. Something more like that. And maybe not that much. I think that's a little too much. I say, let me look at this from the standard of what I'm going to print. Okay, I'm going to go with that, which means now I need to adjust this. I need to make that a little bit bigger. Yeah. So we're talking. There. So we're talking. Okay. It might be worth, the more I think about this, right? Just for the purpose of printing, this is where maybe I break away from a little bit of being ridiculously exact here for the sake. What's up, James? How are you? Okay. And for the sake of that, I think I might want to take these because there's going to be a gaping hole here. And for printing, that's just going to be an absolute no fun for me. So I'm going to break from the design a little bit here. Let's take this And I'm going to go straight down the center here. Oops, let me turn off symmetry. Go down here. Interesting. Let's see. And I am going to do an extrusion inward on these until they reach the inside. This looks like they are. That way, when I go to print, okay, that I don't have to worry about getting supports that are in there or anything like that. They'll be what I need. So I'm making a draft angle in essence, right? Looks like I need to go a little bit more. Not a ton more. Not a bunch more. Just a little bit more. Let's switch back to this. Oops. Oops. Yeah, let's mask that out. And then we just need to push these back a little bit more. There. Let go. I am breaking from the design a little bit here, obviously, but that's okay. I'd rather have this print better for me. There. That's done. Okay. From there, let's now make a little component. I'd say it looks like there's also another little, obviously, we can put this detailing in. And that's kind of like they're different, right? Here's the thing you got to be careful, right? You look at this image, there's this double thing happening on either side. I don't really see it in this person's rendition of wherever I'm getting this from. I don't really see that here as well. Okay. So I'm going to pick with the one I want to go with. I kind of like this idea of the two doubles like that. It's kind of a cool little element for me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use that one. So let's see if I look at this, right? And we say, okay, so I want right here, I would say I want one, and then I want another one right there. So let's go with the draw size. In this case, I'm going to use the slice curve. All right, I'm going to save next, just so I have a version saved. Then I'm going to say right here, I do want a new polygroup for sure. Definitely want a new polygroup. Okay, so then I'm going to go right here and let's turn on B radius. And I'm going to say, we need to go a lot bigger. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. And then, oh no, I think I want to go bigger. Yeah, I get this a little bit closer. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And then this is going to be a gauging thing for me. I like that this sits back a little bit back here, which means this now also needs to move back. This needs to sit, oops, this needs to sit back more there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do to get that to be my decider, oh, there we go. I think I got it. Okay, so then I want these creased. I'm going to crease them complete. Crease. Right? Okay. And then let's insert edge loop here. So that gets tighter in there. So that way that gap and that gap are the same. So I need to get another edge loop in here to keep this tight. Like that's tight as far as that goes. Okay, and then I would say I'm gonna go with, I guess this is the decision for me now. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one and this one, and then this and this, and then let's go the opposite then. I'm gonna say this is white, and I'm gonna go from there to there, all right? And then I'm gonna go, these are all white, these are all white, and I'm gonna go there, 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 there. Okay, something like that. Then I'm just gonna say I only need to Q mesh a single poly. Make that be different polygroups. And in fact, I'm going to add another of that. Maybe something like this. Let's see if I like that. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. I'm digging that. I like it. Okay, so I don't like the creasing that's happening in here. So here's the thing. All right. So this question comes up for me all the time from my head. In my head, I'm thinking to myself, right? So obviously, I want, I don't want this creased. Okay, so I'm gonna uncrease this. I'm gonna uncrease this, right? But I do want these creased, so I'm gonna do a partial. But here's the thing. I'm gonna crease these, and then when the minute I turn on dynamic, right, you're gonna get maybe some pinching that's happening through here, right? So what I want to do is this needs to be a little more squared, right, through here. The problem is to do that, it's starting to lose a little bit of that cylindrical portion. Okay. And I don't like that. So I'm going to take a different approach. Again, I'm going to take a different approach just because I know my end result is a 3D print. I know things are going to weld for me. So I'm going to, instead of doing this, okay, I'm going to take what I have here and I'm going to say, let's take QMesh and hold the control key and let's rip it off. And then I can say this, and then now I have something like this. And what I want to do is actually make this a separate subtool. All right, so I'm going to split it. Now I do want a crease here on those corners. So I'm just going to use this to crease that. So now I do have the creasing in the corners. Okay, that's interesting. This looks like I found a nice little bug here. Oh, I forgot to grab the other end. All right, so let's see. I think I didn't grab the whole mesh. Okay. Yeah. All right, what I want is this and all of that. I want the whole thing. Right? And now I can, because I have this one, I need to get rid of the floating ones. I can just do a delete hidden here. Right? And then let me go fix this. I don't want those floating pieces. I messed up there. I forgot to grab everything. And then now, if we're looking at this, these pieces, we're going to crease the corners. They're creased, right? This polygon, oops, this polygon in there. All right, let's do another visibility thing here. I'm going to go to, let's make a visibility 3. Let's turn these on. There we go. That way I can just look at this. I'm going to take that polygroup, and there it's overlapping inside, and this is too extreme. I just want a nice little ridge in there. Right, so same thing. The difference is now they're separate pieces of geometry, right? And then so I can manipulate those, I can play with those, and they're not part of the main cylinder. I don't have to worry about any of the geometrical pinching that I might get in there. I don't have to worry about any of that. Like that's good to go, right? Um, I'm gonna see if I can find something. Uh, X-wing. side of wing. And then let's do only advanced search. Whoops. Let's say, oops, images, tools. Let's only get large images. It's funny, like when I'm looking at the X-wing imagery, right? Stuff, it's so much stuff that the wings are open. It's pretty interesting. Like, and then there are a lot of different variations to this that I've seen, which is interesting, right? It's not like it's not, then I guess it's not like it's not an X-wing. It's at least looking like an X-wing. I would say we're getting somewhere. What's this image look like? It's grabbing a nice image for me to use as a reference to this. I don't like where this is sitting. Looking at this, I'm going to move this forward just a bit. I want a little bit. Yeah, I prefer it that. Look. Okay, let's see. Wow, this has got crazy different stuff on the side there. It doesn't have the thing I just put in. It's got something else. But I guess, you know what? I'm gonna make some stuff up too. I'm gonna do some of my own things. Why not? I'm just seeing if I can see another image of something that I like. Uh, so just go get the auctioned off X-Wing that happened. So just get that. So then that is the real one. Okay. I'm gonna go with that. Okay, I'm gonna make something in here. I'm gonna do something else in here. I'm gonna do, let's go X symmetry. We'll go local, right? And let's see, I want Y probably. Yep. And let's insert an edge, right? I'm gonna say right about there. Insert an edge here. And then now let's Q mesh this out. Let's do something like that. And I'm going to create all of this up. I want these creased. So I make something like that. You know what? I want that creased as well. So we have something like this. And then I'm going to make something that goes in there. Oh, I wonder if I have my greeble. Let's see if I have my greeble brush from I made from the TIE Fighter. Why not? Let's load something in from there. I don't know if I have it. Let's see. I think I do. I think I do from the TIE Fighter. Yes, I do. Okay. Let's take. There's one in particular I was thinking of. Let's maybe this one. This one. Let's take this. And then let's put this right there. Okay, we don't need symmetry. Yes. Yes! Insert mesh brush to the rescue. I want it to sit right there. I want it to go up in there, sit there. Let's see, how big do I want to go? For the sake, again, thinking about this for printing, I'm going to make them kind of butt up right into the wall. Just, and then I'll move it here. And maybe we'll go down a little bit more. No, we'll do this. And then maybe I rotate it like that. And then now we can pull it out. Whoops, now we can pull it out. Let's go with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that. How do you guys feel about that? I'm okay. I'm okay with that. Oh, look, I need to fix this. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. Serves me right for being in solo mode. So let's undo this. I can redraw that out, no problem. And let's take these spaces. See modeler. Okay. Oops. And let's QMash polygroup all and move these up. I want this to be exposed more. Okay, so we are going to need to adjust this whole portion a little bit more. So I'm going to do what I'm trying to do. I'm going to need to make this come out a little bit more. More like that. I think I might. I want to do that. And then this, oops, I grab that. There we go. I'm grabbing portions I don't want to take. Unsolo that. Make that come out like there. Why is it? Let's see, what am I getting here? Oh, it looks like I've got masks. Let me clear the mask. There we go. I want. Huh. Oh, it looks like it's welded there. That's the problem. We need to fix that. We need to fix that. We're gonna have to fix that up. All right, easy peasy. Let's just take this. Let's take a look here. Okay, so it's not welded. Okay. That's interesting though that that keeps coming. Don't know why that is. I'm gonna have to take a look at that. They're definitely not. Oops. This is what we're gonna do. Expand these all. Let's just split these off. And now this is separate. They're in no shape way connected. Okay. And then that is good there. That is good there. Let's push these down a little bit more like that. Let's get rid of this right now. I don't like that. I want it to be more of a harsher ramp. And I'm going to crease the edges there. Okay. Now I'll insert an edge loop and put that there. So now we have something like that. And there. That's a little bit better. There. Okay. Now let's get my insert again. These, I want this guy. Let's make sure it's set like this. I don't need symmetry on now. And let's go there. And we need to go in more. Let's keep going in. Let's keep going. Right about there. Now let's rotate. Somewhere around that world. Oops. Somewhere around there. There. And I am going to here. I want to put something here. So I'm going to insert edge up there. I'm going to crease there. Say here, here. Here, let me solo it out. And then I'm going to take these faces and I'm going to Q mesh something there. And I definitely want that creased, that creased. Right. So then we have something more like that. And then let's insert multiple edge loops. Let's keep the polygrouping. We don't want that many. That's not necessary. That's not necessary. Like that. And let's get into I want that crease to that creased, that creased, that and that and that. Do this. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna do an inset, polygroup all. Let's inset these a little bit, something like that. Let's Q mesh now, polygroup all. Let's pull this off the surface. And then let's go ahead and crease. Let's crease these by the old PGer first. And then I'll crease partial. And that way we get something that looks like this. Just another little element to it. There. There. Sweet little cannon thing. There we go. All right. Hold on. Catching up on the questions. Karsten, you're here. Oh, okay. How did you do the indentation lines on the wings? Is it loops or live Boolean? It's live Boolean with slicing in essence. So I'm using slicing with live Boolean with a brush is what I'm doing. I can show you really fast. Does posable symmetry and characters work well enough to sculpt on a whole character in their final pose? I thought were issues with it years ago, but I don't know if it got resolved. It'll work. The part where it will probably break is if you're trying to do something like millions of polygons. Like I'm talking like over 10 million probably is where it might start running in issues, posable symmetry. Um, but otherwise into the couple millions, you're fine. But trying to go like 30 million, 40 million, that's usually when it would break a little bit. So that's I'd be mindful of that. Hey Chris, thanks for coming. It's been a long time. I like Star Wars just a bit. Just a bit, right? So let's see. So the wing part, just so you know how I do it here, I'm going to save next here. Let me just save next. Do you guys use save next? Talk amongst yourself. Coffee talk, coffee talk. You guys, are you using save and save next? We added those. You guys asked for them. We added them a while ago. Do you save next? I use save next because it gives me iteration, 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 iteration. All right, Carson, are you still here? Because then I'll show you really fast how I did the wings too. So this is all this is. This is just this, right? So I'm going to clone this. So we just have it by itself. So this is kind of my stepping that I did for this. Is okay. I'm going to make this be all one poly group. Okay. So I have something like that. Then I'm going to say, let's add another, insert another edge loop here. I'll do another edge loop there. We'll do another edge loop there. And then now just add a little bit more topology throughout this. So looking at in this sense.
I don't really need to do this. This is just me being me, probably. So I would say add it. It doesn't need to be perfect. I don't really care about it being perfect, honestly. It's good to go. All right. Nah, let's not do that one. Okay, good enough. Let's slide complete. Play with these a little bit more. Okay, good enough. Okay, turning it on dynamically. Then I'm going to apply my dynamics and then delete them. And all I care about now is this. The purple part is all I care about and nothing else. Okay. So what I'm going to do is delete the rest. And now I have this. I'm going to turn off the line. And then now we're just looking at a purple polygroup. And now all I did is say, okay, I want some lines. So I'm going to use the slicing curve. And I say, okay, I want a line that follows this angle right here, right? I want to follow this. I want a line there. Okay, I got to turn off B radius. Or turn off B radius. I want a line there. So I'm going to say something like that. Okay. Then I'm going to make a line through there. Then I'm going to make a line through there. And let's make a line through here. Okay, and I'm not changing this polygroup and this polygroup because I'm not going all the way through. So if I did this, where I'm going now through the red and the purple, but I'm stopping in that green, these become new polygroups, right? I don't want new polygroups. I want something like this. Okay. And then now maybe let's put a, whoops. And so let's put a design element here as well. I'm gonna go a little bit different here. Yeah, I'm gonna go maybe a little bit there, like that. And then let's put one at the very tip of the wing too, something like that. Okay, so let's say this is the pattern that I want, and I want these to be kind of like cut lines going into the surface. All right. And so now that I have this, I can go and say, let's grab an extruder brush. So this brush is going to be this, where I'm getting these extrusions. Okay. We don't need it, symmetry on. And I've got obviously array mesh happening right now. Okay. So I'm going to say, let's make it about, let's go a little bit smaller than that. Let's go to 3. Let's go a little bit smaller than that. Okay, 2. That looks good to me. And now all I have to do is because I prepped these polygroups out, I can just go up into stroke, go to my for functions. I'm going to turn off creasing and borders and only say polygroups. And now I'm only getting the cut, these edges there, there, and there, and there, and there, and there, right? And so now if I tap, I get those in the spots that I want them. So even for a raised one, you have this. Okay. And now all I really care about, and this brush is built, when I built this brush, I built this on purpose for this technique, actually. I built it where, hey, maybe I want half the surface sitting above, and I want maybe half the surface sitting inside. So this brush is built where right dead center, half the surface is out, half the surface is inside, and it's for this technique alone is why I built this brush this way. Okay, so now that I have this, I don't need the curves anymore. But if you wanted to, you could switch, through the pieces and say, what, I would prefer something maybe more like that, a little bit more simpler. Yeah, I prefer that. Okay. Then I can say the only thing I care about now, right, is this. These are the only things I care about. And so now I can delete the rest of this, right? So I'm going to just split it off. Okay, so that we have this. And then now this is now, let's say this is my wing. And let's go ahead and dynamic. And let's add some thickness. Maybe not that much. Let's go offset down, right? And so now I have this. And then I want to turn this below and turn on subtract. And because I got live Boolean on, I get that. It's that simple, right? And then this is more of a non-destructive way. Like if I ever want to get rid of these, I can get rid of these at any point in time. So this is like the beauty of what ZBrush can do, right? Where this is all not happening. It's all rendering. Even the thickness is being rendered. The cut lines are all being rendered by the meshes themselves. And then now you have those nice clean scribe lines. So that's how I did that. So I don't know if you're still here, Karsten, but that's the way I did that. Okay, hold on. Now I'm catching up. I'm sorry. Hey, thanks, Gabo. Appreciate you being live. Quick question. I know you align on edges, function work on ZModeler, but is there a way to, let's see, evenly space edges and vertices across a surface? Sometimes I want to reorder my edges along a curved surface, but I can't, or I couldn't. No, not right now. There's no way to realign, right? Like, because there's no edge selection in ZBrush. So that's the problem. You guys would, in other application, probably select all the edge loops and then realign them along the surface, something like that. So, but that doesn't mean that's not something we can't do down the pipeline. As you guys have seen, hopefully, the Z modeler um, is being shown right now in a video we just put up again, the whole new one. There's a new UI on the iPad side. Guys, there's a couple new features as well that we've added to Z modeler. The big one being presets. So I would take a look at that video if you haven't on Instagram. So the goal is here, we're going to keep expanding upon Zine Modeler, and this is probably something where we would want to look into. So there is no way to, you've already got edge loops, and now you just kind of want to, from my understanding, what you want is you've got edges and they kind of have different gapping, and now you want to select most of them and kind of make them all have the exact same gap. That's what you're asking, right? So if I did something like, let's take a cylinder. Yeah, and let's get rid of the spans. Initialize, let's get rid of them. Make polymesh. Let's turn on the lines again. I guess where I got rid of the spans, but I must have moved. Okay. So interest using a tablet again. And I'm going to say insert. I want to say something like this, something like that, something like that, something like that. And let's say something like this. So in essence, you want the ability of taking all of these edges in the middle, and you kind of want to tell ZBrush, hey, make these all fit perfectly now, equidistant from this cap to this cap, right? That's what you're looking for, right? Jeremy, yes, we will be looking at making the desktop UI, starting to look at what we can do with it based upon what we've done on the iPad. So yes, to answer your question, we are looking at things that we can do with the UI in the desktop 100%. It is on our list. It's something that's going to take some time. It's not something we can do right away. You can't just port the iPad UI right onto the desktop. It doesn't work that way. So, but it is something we have on our plate that we're going to be looking into and working with for sure. Okay, so yeah, there's nothing in we have right now in ZBrush that will equally distance that back out for you. The only way to do that is you would have to delete those edge loops and do insert multiple edge loops. Because again, we don't have edge selection in ZBrush, so I can't select these multiple edge loops and then tell it. The only thing I would be able to do is use like a masking, and then an algorithm runs, and then those just all equally distant expand out. But I like that idea. Let me add that because this is making me think of some other things. I like it. I like your idea. Okay, so I'm going to say equal distance already from edge loops. I like that. I'm going to add that to my list of things to put in our system. Reorganize the modeler. Go watch that video. And I'm telling you right now, Gabo, that I'm going to say Gabo Cavallero. Is that right? Go watch that video. In your question, reorganizing the modeler. I'm telling you right now, presets is it. Guys, I'm using presets like crazy now that I have that version in my hands. So go look at that video that we just put up on Instagram. We're showing you guys that stuff. Especially obviously on the iPad, it's very nice. Okay, and this is why we didn't roll ZModeler out right away with the iPad. We had stuff we wanted to do, things we wanted to be able to do with the UI on the iPad, on top of start putting in some more features into ZModeler too. Um, how much sense would you have in UI touch and screen on this? How much sense would to have UI? Okay, the problem with touchscreen on a desktop, obviously you need a device that supports that. Okay. So there are devices out there, like Sense Labs, Wacom has touch, Sense Labs has touch. I haven't looked at XPen or Hunya in a while. They have touch. Obviously, the difficult part is they all also use different encoding and stuff like that, maybe for to support touch. So we would have to go and do all of that ability. So it's not something that it's necessarily a no. I never say no to everything. It's something we would have to assess and see how much work would involve. Now, it's not just the original implementation of that you got to think about too when you're developing something, a piece of software. It's once you implement it, they start to keep doing stuff and then stuff breaks and we have to keep keep updating it and keep updating it and updating it, right? So there's all that stuff you got to think about, and then you got also got to think about Microsoft also has Surface Pros that have touch. They're using Entrig for their one of their main sources. Like there's a lot in all this factoring that you have to think about when you're developing for sure. So I'm not going to say no. I have learned over my years I never say no, because one of the days we just go, you know what, let's do it, let's go. So, but it is something that's on my mind and things that we're thinking about. But in all honesty, touch on a desktop, it would be awesome, but I'd rather give you guys something that I know every single user could use, every single user would want, i.e. a new UI on desktop, right? Would be something that would be even more cooler to have than touch on desktop. Thank you. You soon gonna give a training on my job. I am. Like, well, I'm traveling a bunch, so uh, then I'll start sculpting on iPad. Are there plugins, personalizer, creating duplicates of ZModeler and then saving them with shortcuts? Sure, you can do that now. You can make any types of different ZModeler brushes, and then you can have shortcuts to each one of those ZModeler brushes for sure. That's what you can do. Trying to I'll be honest with you, trying to make all this stuff have shortcuts, guys, it doesn't work. It's already tried there's just too much, there's too many scenarios, too many things. There's not even enough keys on the keyboard to support all the shortcutting. This is what I'm telling you, those our next ZBrush with the new Z modeler with presets is the answer. I'm telling you, it's amazing. But of course you could also just save out multiple Z modeler brushes and use shortcuts for sure. This is why we also have up here on the top, if you go to brushes, we actually have a couple other Z modeler brushes up here that are already everything set to be like the slicing options are all on, and this is the topology brush one. So all the topology features is there. So you could put these and use these as different ones, and then you don't have to go and do that. But that's definitely an option for you. But I'm really excited about the presets that you guys are gonna be able to get your hands on soon. It's going to be awesome. Please check out that video and let me know, man. Like, reach out, put a little comment if you want in the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts from what you can see in the video. Again, if you're going to be at GDC, you're actually going to be able to use it. We're going to, for the first time ever, allow you guys publicly out at a conference, let people use the next version of ZBrush before it's even out. So I'm excited about that. Uh, ZModeler is not on iPad yet. That'll be coming out next month. You guys will be able to have ZModeler on iPad. That's one of the big items we're adding to the iPad version. Okay. Let's see. Did I miss another question? Any chance supporting? I was very to answer that since it's the touchscreen. Okay. Okay. Is there any questions I missed? I unfortunately got to get going. But I got to really keep going on this guy. Um, and moving along. So if there are any other questions, I'd be happy to fuel those questions for you. Um, and then, but otherwise, I unfortunately need to get going here soon. Other meetings call. So I'm just seeing where is the Instagram post? Let me get it for you. Hold on. Let me find it. I'm gonna save next this. All right, and let me see. Internet, be my friend. Here we go. It's on the ZBrush Instagram page, but let me see if I'm on. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to it because I'm not logged in. I gotta remember what I'm using. Not login. I'm not logged in on Instagram on this computer. So let's do this. Instagram, Maxon ZBrush. Let's see. Can you get copy link? Let me get in the chat. Can you gain access to? Does this work for you? This is like a Google search. Let's see. 'Cause in order for me to click on it, I gotta log into Instagram. I'm not logged into Instagram on this computer. Let me see if I can get on there quick. I wish I could share my login. Hold on, let me see if I can get in real quick. Like all of us, I don't even remember what I'm using to log into anything anymore. It's too many passwords. Way too many passwords. Unless somebody else got it. I don't know. I'm just looking to see if I can figure it out. What my password is to get into Instagram. So I can get to it. Let's see. Now my Instagram's not even loading. Come on. Let's try. Let me see. Maybe we luck out. Let me try my other browser. Maybe I have it in my other browser. Maybe we luck out. Let's see. Instagram. Let's see. Am I logged in? No, I'm not. Striking out. It should be on our Facebook as well. Um, let's see if I can guess what it is. No. Okay. Sorry, I can't get to it. Okay, if you have an image that you want to share with me, by all means, please share the image. Let me see if the Facebook will work. See if I can log in. Maybe. I'm not a robot. Car. Mhm. Hold on, I'm seeing if I can get you guys that video that I'm talking about another way. Sorry, I wasn't thinking about having that up and running. And I can't get into any of my social media stuff on this computer. There is a relax. You could try using a relax. I don't know how well would do though for the space itself, but the keeping the shape or restore the curvature, average or distance between the edge of the vertex and the contour. Yeah, we don't have anything like that. There is a relax, right? So if you're doing something, if I'm doing an initialize, I don't think this will work, but let's try it. Let's see. Let's just start this simple. I don't know. Let's find out. I doubt it'll work, but let's see. I like to experiment. Let's mask off those. Then deformation. What will our relax do for us? Nada. Yeah, it's not doing anything. This is the only thing I can think of. Polish is going to, it will do it, but you see it's inflating out as well, right? So I was hoping maybe the relax would do it. Polish is close. I was really hoping maybe the relax would work, but it's not. It was a thought. Good thought. Okay. Let's see if I can get this another way. Let's see if I can share this. Hold on. Share to. I've never tried this. Let's see what this does. I've never ever tried this. Oh, here you go. I got the instrument. That never tried this. That worked. Here you go. Here's the Instagram. I guess not. Let's see. Paste. There we go. Okay, try that link for the Instagram. Yeah, it's a good thought. What you could do, you could try that. We could do, let's try it. You could do a polish, right? We could do a polish, and then now we're spread out, right? Polish a little bit more, polish a little bit more. Then let's clear the mask. Let's actually go back to this version. Let's see if this works. And then come in here and go into my projection, but only project the history. Yeah, it's not. Oh, it's close. Let's go all the way. Oh, there you go. That would work. That's possible. So that worked. So it's a good call out. Doing a polish, blood raptor, and then a project. Good call out. So that does work. We just need to be able to do this in one. I'm trying to think whatever else we might have. Let my brain tick away real quick here and think of other things in ZBrush that might be able to get us what we want here. Because we have alignments. We have alignments. We have that. We have equalize surface area. I don't think it's not going to. It's not going to work. No, it's not what it was made for. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head right now. Maybe I'll think of something though. Right now, I can't think of anything else. But it's a good thought. We definitely need that as a feature. All right, Gabo. You said you were trying to put something together. If not, obviously that would be one way. It's a good call out by Blood Rapture to do that. So that's definitely something. There is no other way to equally distance this out. The thing I would probably do, and this is an easy scenario though. I would probably do an edge loop, delete the loops, right? And then I would just do this, this, and then I would do a multi-slice, and I would slice this way, and then you have, whoops, I don't want that many. And then now I can just spread this out and have those slices. How many slices do I want? And how much spread out do I want them? Like there's this, but this is only in this scenario, right? Because it's a perfect cylinder, so it's going to work. But if the surface is, moving, then this isn't going to work. So, but I think we need it out of future like that. And it's a good call out. This is why I want to keep doing these streams too with you guys, connect you guys, figure out some stuff that we can continually keep adding. We've got a lot of stuff, guys. I know Beat Bear, just you guys, there's some exciting stuff that we're working on, I promise. Some of this stuff takes time though, for us to implement and get right and keep moving forward. And now we've got ZBrush iPad and ZBrush Desktop to think about too. You send me an image where? Through what? How did you send me an image? Through what channel? Through, let me know how you sent it. Da, 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 da. How did you send? Million. There's obviously a delay for me. Mhm. Do you have my email? What link? I don't see any link from you. I don't have a link in the chat. Did you send it to one of my social medias? Did you send it? There's no link there. Sorry, I gotta wait until you're able to respond. Okay, I got a little bit done today. Not a ton done today, but I got a little bit done today. Uh, yeah, yeah, we can't see the link, Gabo, unfortunately. All right, well, I would say prepare it here. You can send it to me. Here's my email. Just send it to me in an email, and then we can communicate through email. Okay, that'll be easier. Here, you can send it to my email. And my Instagram is this. This is my, it's just my name, but Gaboury Paul. All right, send it to me there. Unfortunately, I got to get going. Thanks, guys, for jumping in and joining me in this fun festivity of making this X-Wing. I'm going to continue working on this. I got to get it all the way because I'm making a battle scene in my office. So I definitely want to make these and then print this out. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for joining. I will not be streaming next Friday because I'll be at GDC, the conference. I should be able to stream the following Friday, so in 2 Fridays. I always stream on Fridays at 11 a.m. whenever I can. So based upon my schedule. So again, next Friday is a no. The following Friday, again, go visit ZBrushLive.com and then you can see our calendars. So you can see when we're streaming. Okay. And that way we can go from there. So thanks again, everybody. Have a delicious weekend. This has been Paul Gaboury with Z.